Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be comparing the ICR with the SWAT and kind of coming to a conclusion what are the best class setups for each of these weapons, and then also which one is better out of the two. So typically in Call of Duty there are always these rifles that are just laser beams, very accurate, do an average amount of damage, decent amount of fire rate, and then are all around a decent rifle, and the ICR generally fills that category. The SWAT was later introduced as a DLC weapon, and this one is very similar to the ICR in a lot of different ways, and even more, especially when you start looking at the different stats, and they start to separate themselves depending on what class setup you use. So throughout the video, we're going to be comparing some of these different stats. I'm going to be giving you that best class setup and identifying which is the better weapon side by side. Also, if you can do me a favor and let me know which one is your favorite down in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit that like button. I do have a goal of 1,000 likes on the video, so if you can help me get this video over that number, I'd be very appreciative of that. And if you'd like to find your way back to the channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, turning it from red to gray, along with having those notifications on so you'll get an alert every time I post a video. So the first category we'll go ahead and take a look at is the rate of fire, and the SWAT actually wins this category by 25 RPM at 625 to the ICR 600, which is kind of negligible in the long run because the difference in time to kill is approximately 16 to 20 milliseconds, which is almost nothing. The next thing we'll go ahead and talk about is shots to kill and overall ranges of each of the weapons, and this is where the ICR actually takes a little bit of a lead. Even though they are both 5 and 6 shots to kill respectively, the difference is the 5-shot range on the ICR actually goes all the way up to 50 meters, which is double the range of the SWAT at only 25 meters. And the main reason I'm focusing on the weapon comparison without the attachments is so that we can actually focus on the attachments that actually matter. And the main reason I bring up that aspect is because a lot of times I'll get people in the comments section saying, oh man, you got to try it with this, that, and the other. And they don't even include the most important attachment for the specific weapon, which basically invalidates that class setup in my opinion. If you're not using the best attachment for a specific weapon, then what is the point? Especially when you're going to call it the best class setup for the specific weapon. So the next thing we'll go ahead and talk about is ammo capacity, and overall each of these weapons has 35 bullets per magazine. So on this front they're completely even. So where they differ is the reload speeds, because the ICR has a 1.17 second reload speed, which is 400 milliseconds faster than the 1.57 second reload speed of the SWAT. So when it comes to overall movement and handling, they actually have the exact same aim down sight time of 300 milliseconds, which overall is pretty average for the rifle category, and it's particularly slow when compared to most of the SMGs. They also share the exact same sprint out time of 300 milliseconds, which is that time delay between being in a full-on sprint to actually being able to fire your weapon once you press that trigger. And the only place the ICR really has a statistical advantage in terms of movement is strafing at approximately 10% faster strafe speed. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the attachments for the ICR and the SWAT and see which ones can actually impact how these weapons perform. So for the ICR, you have the long barrel attachment, which will effectively double its 5-shot kill range from 50 meters up to 100 meters. And I would say almost 99% of every engagement you encounter while you play Call of Duty Black Ops 4, this is completely unnecessary. And that's just because the majority of the maps, the way they're designed, you'll never even come across those sight lines that are 50 meters or more. And when it comes to the FMJ attachment, it can either be very valuable or a complete waste. It's valuable if you're running against other people that are running body armor, and I know a couple matches last night when I was playing, I probably had about 2 to 3 people in every match that had body armor. And if you're not running FMJ, it's going to take an additional shot to kill, which basically increases your time to kill by 100 milliseconds, which is a huge jump in time to kill. The other aspect that's very valuable is the bullet penetration. I don't know if you guys have ever played firing range and people jump up to that little sniper tower, but if you are not running FMJ, it takes a lot of bullets to kill, and if you're actually using any of the weapons in the SMG category without FMJ, it's pretty much impossible. So the next set of attachments are related to grip. Obviously, if you're going to run grip 1, that's going to reduce the recoil on a weapon that already doesn't have much recoil, but grip 2 goes a step further and makes it so that it even reduces flinch when you're getting shot, so you're able to stay that much more accurate. So in general, these attachments are really going to come down to preferences, because when you actually look at them, they're not very valuable in actually improving this weapon overall, but there's not a lot of other attachments that are really great for the ICR. Next up is laser sight, and the problem with laser sight is you're assuming that you're going to be running and gunning and getting close quarters engagement, where the ICR does not shine. It has one of the slower times to kill in the entire game. Even though it's a rifle, you're going to get outgunned, especially by almost all the SMGs at that point blank range, based off the time to kill alone. So in general, that is an attachment I would not recommend using on the ICR. So last attachment we'll go ahead and talk about for the ICR is quick draw, and this happens to be one of the most valuable attachments on the ICR. because in terms of actually improving the weapon, it does the most. It'll actually reduce the aim down sight time by about 80 milliseconds, which is about a 25% reduction to that aim down sight time. Even though it's not an attachment, an honorable mention when it comes to the ICRs to Run Gung Ho, because it'll reduce that sprint out time by that same 80 milliseconds, which again is about a 25% reduction. So now let's go ahead and transition and talk about the different attachments for the SWAT. The first attachment we'll go ahead and talk about is long barrel, and that's going to double the 5-shot kill range from 25 meters up to 50 meters, which is pretty much the same exact 5-shot kill range of the ICR without any attachments. The next attachment we'll go ahead and talk about is FMJ, and this pretty much works exactly the same as the ICR, highly situational depending on the map and also who you're playing against, but overall it's going to lead to consistent time to kill if people are running body armor. The next two attachments kind of swap out for each other. People will either go with fast mags or they go with extended mags, and there is a bit of a difference. When you decide to run fast mags, it's going to shave off 400 milliseconds from your reload time, so it'll be pretty much the exact same reload time as the ICR. But if you choose to go the extended mags route, you're going to end up with 20 additional bullets in the magazine, so you'll end up with 55 versus that 35. And sometimes that's kind of a toss-up depending on your play style, but overall I don't think 1.5 seconds is a very slow reload time, so I'd rather take the extra ammo. And when you equip quick draw to the SWAT, it only works about half as effective as it does for the ICR, dropping that aim down sight time by about 40 milliseconds or approximately 12%. The next attachment we'll go ahead and talk about is stock, and I think for a lot of people this is a crutch attachment. If it has it on the weapon, they use it, and that's regardless if it actually makes sense to use it on that specific weapon. But fortunately for the SWAT, it is a very good attachment. It actually increases your strafing speed by approximately 75 to 80%, which is huge in terms of strafing in Call of Duty. So the next attachment we're going to talk about is suppressor. And if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you know I'm a huge fan of the suppressor in previous Call of Duties and even in this one, because the range drop off is usually pretty manageable. If you know how to position yourself on the map, you're not going to get really penalized by having a suppressor. If you know how to flank properly, you're going to maximize the attachment. So that one really comes down to preference and your play style. The next and last attachment for this SWAT is the high caliber attachment. And the high caliber attachment is actually a very valuable attachment. Even if you land only one headshot, it will reduce the time to kill at every single range. So head to head versus the ICR, no matter what range you are at, as long as you land one bullet to the head with the SWAT using high caliber, you're going to win the gunfight. You have a faster rate of fire and similar time to kill because it's either 5 or 6 shots, which gets reduced down to 4 or 5 shots to kill with a single headshot. Also, like with the ICR, a perk that is very valuable is Gung Ho. That will reduce your sprint out time by about 50 milliseconds or approximately 15%, which actually gets beat out by the ICR running Gung Ho. So having all this information together, we can actually create a best class setup for each of these weapons, put them head to head and see which one is better. So the best class setup for the ICR is going to be Grip 1, FMJ, and Quick Draw. Those are the top 3 attachments you should be using for the ICR. And then if you want to take it up a notch and get a 4th attachment, you can actually run Grip 2. And in terms of improving this weapon, the only perk that really matters is going to be Gung Ho. And when it comes to the best setup for the SWAT, it really gets a little bit tricky. The number 1 attachment is going to be long barrel. The number 2 attachment is either going to be fast mags or extended mags. I'd highly recommend going with one of those. The 3rd attachment I recommend using is going to be stock, because stock is actually very valuable in terms of movement when it comes to the SWAT. And for that 4th attachment, yes, I do recommend running 4 attachments on this weapon, not a 3 attachment setup. The 4th attachment should either be FMJ or high caliber. And just like the ICR, the only perk that really matters in terms of performance is going to be Gung Ho. So now that we actually have a best class setup for the ICR and the SWAT, let's see if we can actually pick a definitive winner and see which one is actually better of the 2 weapons. So in terms of time to kill, it's going to be 400 and 500 milliseconds for the ICR, slightly faster with the SWAT, so not a big difference there. But if you're landing at least one headshot with these class setups, you see that time to kill for the SWAT dramatically reduces, and it's over 100 milliseconds faster. And that's because you're literally reducing the number of shots to kill from 5 to 4. And in terms of ammo, if you go with the extended mag, you're going to end up with 20 additional bullets, which is a significant difference when you're looking at the 2. Imagine how many more people you can kill, obviously, if it's taking less shots to kill and you have an additional 20 rounds. Next up is the faster reload speed of the ICR by about 400 milliseconds. And you can see how much faster the aim down sight time is of the ICR when you have that quick draw equipped. If you decide to drop FMJ on the SWAT, you could actually equip that quick draw and it'd be significantly closer. You can also see that the SWAT takes the lead in that strafe speed with a significantly faster strafe speed, probably about 40% faster than the actual ICR strafing speed, which which can be very significant in a gunfight. And when both have gung-ho equipped, you can see the difference is pretty negligible, but the ICR technically edges it out. So even though I really like the ICR, I think the SWAT takes this head-to-head because it has attachments that literally reduce the time to kill. In addition to that, if you do drop that FMJ and replace it with quick draw, you're going to have a weapon that is statistically equal to or better than the ICR in almost every possible way. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please remember to hit that like button. If you'd like to leave a suggestion for a future head-to-head video, go ahead and leave that down in the comments section below. And go ahead and let me know which is your favorite weapon out of these two that I broke down today. We'll see you guys on the next one. Appreciate the support. If you want to find your way back, make sure you do subscribe with notifications on, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.